8. Lazette Pagan. Lazette Pagan was driving to work in Essex County, New Jersey one morning in August 2022 when the roadway was flooded by a broken water main in a nearby park. Flowing at nearly 25,000 gallons, 94,635 liters per minute, the water rapidly eroded the soil, triggering a sinkhole that swallowed up Lazette's car. She later told News 12 New Jersey that she could see water pooling on the road, but the 3 vehicles in front of her made it through, so she thought she could too. She was sorely mistaken though. Without warning, the terrified woman found herself struggling to escape from the submerged vehicle. She removed her seatbelt and fought to get the door open wide enough to slip out. Luckily, Lazette managed to swim up towards safety, but the close call left her traumatized. She told local news station KTVQ that she couldn't sleep afterward because she kept feeling like she was drowning, and she hoped the lingering fear would eventually go away. Lazette's car sank so deep below water that a crane had to remove it from the sinkhole. The waterlogged vehicle was full of rocks and other debris. To add to the stress, she found herself fighting an uphill battle in her attempts to get help paying for a new car to drive. Because Lazette's insurance policy lacked sufficient coverage, the company refused to cover her losses. She hired an attorney to pursue compensation from Essex County, but these types of cases hardly ever succeed, according to experts, making it more than likely Lazette would be on her own buying a new vehicle. 7. David Ortiz. In 2019, former Red Sox slugger David Ortiz was enjoying a night out in the Dominican Republic when he was shot in the back during a nearly fatal case of mistaken identity at a club. The bullet exited through the 43-year-old retired baseball player's abdomen and injured another man, TV personality Joel Lopez, who was seated at the same table. Ortiz had emergency surgery and was hospitalized for 6 weeks while investigators worked on the case. They determined that the shooter wanted to kill Ortiz's cousin, Sixto David Fernandez, who was with him at the club that night. The men were sitting beside each other and were dressed similarly, so the gunman mistook Ortiz for Fernandez based on a blurry photo one of his associates had given him. Detectives concluded that the hit was ordered by a fugitive from Mexico's Gulf cartel named Victor Hugo Gomez, who wanted Fernandez dead for turning him into narcotics investigators years before. A total of 14 suspects were arrested in connection to the case, including the man who took the blurry photo. Unsatisfied with law enforcement's findings, Ortiz hired former Boston Police Commissioner Ed Davis to carry out an independent investigation on the shooting. In his findings, which were released to the public in early 2022, Davis accused alleged drug kingpin Cesar the Abuser Peralta of putting a hit on Ortiz because he felt disrespected. Dominican authorities continue to stand by their version of events, despite these revelations. 6. Cody and Courtney Campbell. Just 5 months after buying their home in Santee, California back in 2021, newlyweds Cody and Courtney Campbell were suddenly homeless. The couple were at work when a small airplane barreled through their neighborhood, killing 2 people and crashing into 2 homes, one of which being theirs. Of course, the Campbells were grateful they weren't home during the collision. They were also glad Courtney's mother had decided to stop by and pick up their dog a few hours earlier and was gone by the time of the crash. The house was then engulfed in flames. If anyone had been there, they likely would have died. And it wasn't lost on Cody and Courtney that they, Courtney's mum and their dog, were all very lucky. But the couple's experience as first-time homebuyers certainly didn't pan out like they'd hoped, and it's only human to think about their loss and feel disappointed on their behalf, even if the house is trivial compared to the value of their lives. Along with losing their home, the Campbells lost a lot of other things they worked hard for, and items that had sentimental value, including Cody's wedding band, which he left at home for safekeeping while wearing a silicone ring to his job. It's also fair to wonder if a little bit of bad luck was at play, considering how rare it is for planes to crash into houses. 5. Miguel Angel Torres. For 14 years, Miguel Angel Torres lived in Austin, Texas, as an undocumented migrant without any major run-ins with the law. Although he was in the US illegally, he lived a fairly respectable lifestyle as a married father of 3 and a hard-working cook in a local restaurant. In their pursuit of the American dream, Miguel and his wife Irma hope to someday open up their own food truck. When former President Donald Trump was inaugurated during early 2017, immigrant communities throughout the country braced themselves for raids by authorities looking for undocumented residents. In a bid to deflect attention away from her family, Irma paid off some tickets for her brother, Jose Manuel Perez, who was also undocumented. But to her surprise, authorities targeted Miguel. Irma told the Texas Tribune that her husband was on his way to drop off a box of Valentine's Day chocolates at their daughter's school when agents from Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, wearing plain clothes stopped him and asked if he was Irma's brother Perez. He said that he wasn't Perez, but the agents took him into custody anyway. They carted him off to an immigration detention facility about 150 miles away. 4 days before, Irma had put her address on the payment for her brother's tickets. It was the only connection she could think of that might have caused the mistaken identity. While the outcome of the situation is unclear, it's one of many incidents of authorities baselessly detaining immigrants during Trump's administration. In that sense, the misfortune the Torres family experienced while trying to give their kids a better life wasn't unique. 4. Jason and Jenny Cairns Lawrence. British couple Jason and Jenny Cairns Lawrence rose to infamy as the world's unluckiest couple when reports claimed they were visiting as tourists in 3 different cities during 3 separate terrorist attacks. The pair were on a sightseeing trip in New York City during the 9/11 attacks on the World Trade Center towers back in 2001. It was the worst ever terrorist threat on US soil, claiming more than 2,700 lives. In July 2005, the couple booked a hotel in London for a few nights. Just a day into the visit, 4 terrorists bombed the London subway, killing 52 people and injuring 700 more. 3 years later, in 2008, Jason and Jenny took a vacation to the bustling city of Mumbai. During the trip, armed terrorists opened fire on a hotel and railway station, killing over 174 people. But these reports about the world's unluckiest couple were challenged in a Verve magazine article by Jamie Christian Desplaces, who claims to be good friends with Jason Cairns Lawrence. According to him, it all started when the pair arrived in Mumbai in 2008, days after the terrorist shooting. During a casual conversation with the reporter, Jason mentioned how he was in New York City weeks after the 9/11 attacks. The couple said they were from England, but there was no actual discussion about the 2005 London bombings. The next thing Jason and Jenny knew, news outlets were publishing wild stories about them being present during 3 of the decade's worst attacks. Jason initially tried to get the stories taken down and had some success, but the tale took on a life of its own. The articles continued to circulate, and the couple still suffers from unwanted attention, making them wildly unlucky for vastly different reasons than the news reports claim. 3. Melanie Martinez. Living along the southeastern US coast comes with the risk of losing your home to a hurricane. Melanie Martinez learned this lesson at a young age in 1965, when Hurricane Betsy blew in from the Gulf of Mexico and wrecked her Louisiana home. It's not even entirely strange for someone in a vulnerable area to lose 2 homes to hurricanes. Martinez joined that club in 1985, courtesy of Hurricane Juan. But unlike most, even in storm-prone regions, catastrophic events continued to destroy her residence. It happened for a 3rd time in 1998 during Hurricane Georgia, and for the 4th time in 2005 during Hurricane Katrina. Martinez got a chance to share her experiences in 2012 when her home in the rural town of Braithwaite, south of New Orleans, was selected to get a $20,000 makeover on the A&E reality series Hideous Homes. Host Eric Stromer and his team spent a week transforming Martinez's house into a comfortable, modern space, complete with a sewing room for her to indulge in her favorite hobby. She loved the results, but she unfortunately didn't get to enjoy them for long. Just a few weeks after the episode aired on TV, Hurricane Isaac struck the region, and the storm completely flooded the home, trapping Martinez, her elderly mother, their 3 dogs, and 5 cats in the attic. Luckily, they were all rescued, but the house was beyond saving, making it the 5th home Martinez has lost to a hurricane. Melanie told The Guardian that she stayed in the area because she was born there, and it was the only place she knew as an actual home. But she admitted that after enduring so much destruction, she wanted her next property to at least be on a hill, where it would be less at risk from flooding. 2. Daniel Ott. One morning in 2006, an armed intruder broke into the Ohio home of 31-year-old Daniel Ott and tied his hands up with duct tape. Ott managed to free himself and fight back against the attacker, but received a fatal bullet to the chest. It was the county's first homicide in over 6 years, so the case quickly became a whodunit situation as detectives worked to identify the perp. There were no signs of forced entry or robbery, and the 911 call placed by Ott's girlfriend was never captured since the recording device was broken. And while the scene contained every hallmark of an ordered hit, detectives couldn't figure out why anyone would want to kill Daniel Ott. 6 months later, investigators concluded that he was targeted by an organized crime group in a disturbing case of mistaken identity. They believed the killers meant to go after a different man named Daniel Ott, a notorious car thief who helped with an investigation that landed the group's leader, Joseph Rosebrook, behind prison bars. Even after realizing this, law enforcement struggled to get anyone with information about the crime to talk. Out of fear that they would suffer a similar fate, they maintained their silence. In 2015, after almost a decade of investigating, authorities arrested 3 suspects in connection to Ott's death. Joseph Rosebrook was accused of ordering the hit from behind bars. His brother Carl allegedly arranged the payment for the murder, and a man named Chad South was charged with actually carrying out the attack. Joseph Rosebrook was sentenced to life in prison, and the hitman South received a 28-year sentence, while Carl Rosebrook got away with no time and a $1,000 fine. But no punishment could possibly undo the damage that was caused by this trio's actions, including the murder of a completely innocent man who died terrified, fighting for his life in his own home. 1. Kostis Mitsotakis. As Spain grappled with the crippling effects of an economic recession back in 2011, the country's lottery jackpot reached 740 million euros, $788 million. Residents of Sodeto pooled their money to buy lottery tickets as part of their annual Christmas lottery, a tradition they started in 1812, with the agreement that everyone who pitched in would collect a portion of the winnings if they hit the jackpot. The entire village participated except Kostis Mitsotakis, a Greek filmmaker who'd moved to Sodeto only 8 years earlier. Mitsotakis later explained that he didn't chip in since his house was technically outside of the village, and because, unlike the born and bred locals, he wasn't obsessed with the lottery. He was probably just as shocked as everyone else when Sodeto won the jackpot, and everyone but him collected a piece of the prize money. Instead of being bitter or overwhelmed with regret, Mitsotakis started documenting the lives of the families who benefited from these winnings. 3 years later, in 2014, he told the Greek reporter that not much had changed. For the most part, people lived similar lifestyles as they had before coming rich. Mitsotakis pointed out that the most notable difference was that less young people were leaving for opportunities outside of town, not that they had enough money to create their own opportunities nearby. While some considered Mitsotakis to be the world's unluckiest man for missing out on the lottery bounty, he didn't seem upset about it. In fact, he referred to his loss as a gift from heaven for giving him the opportunity to capture the winner's experiences on camera. Mitsotakis said that he planned to make a documentary featuring local families who discuss how the sudden windfall completely changed their lives. Thanks for watching. Would you rather resemble a wanted criminal or accidentally drop a $10,000 winning lottery ticket into a storm drain? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe. See you soon. Bye.